the front of house sound mixer for a band called War Child. War Child played up and down the East Coast, and they were a very popular band. They had one album out and they were ready to break at any moment, and they had a lot of covers that they played, and people loved seeing them. But we were doing a gig in Huntington, West Virginia, and a national act called Head East was going to perform with us, and they were going to headline the show that night under the caveat that they would use our drums, our PA, our guitar rig, our monitor rig, our everything. They would just really just step up, bring their own instruments, get down on it, and that was straight up and down how it was going to be. So I'm doing this, I'm mixing my show as the support act for that night, and I just think I'm hot shit, and I'm mixing it up, and I'm making the table shake with the kick drum, and I'm just rocking it out, and I think I'm so awesome, and everyone tells me the band sounds great, so why wouldn't I think I have a proven track record with that? And I'm using the same sound system that I use every night. I drag that PA all over the country, and I knew it inside and out. And we had this equalizer that I used to EQ the PA, and I had my settings on there, and I touched every one and had my own little way of doing it. And the sound guy from the band Head East, he's standing next to me while I'm mixing the show, and he's not saying a word. And I get done doing what I'm doing. He steps up to the mixing console. He looks over at my EQ and all my fancy little cuts, the smiley faces that I make. And he takes his finger and he pushes the bypass button, bypassing the EQ. He picks up the talkback mic. He says to his tech up there, kick. The guy hits the kick drum, the exact same kick drum that I was just mixing on. And just by him bypassing my EQ, the thing almost shook the building. I mean, I dropped my gin and tonic. Couldn't believe it. He smoked me. I was humiliated. This guy ruined me on my own PA just by walking up and teaching me that I was doing something really stupid by sucking all the sound out of the damn system and not understanding really what I should have been doing with that EQ. So let's jump forward to 2009, right? I am doing a show at Terminal 5 in New York City. My buddy Rob is the monitor mixer. Bands come in, it's Hatebreed, Typo Negative, and a up-and-coming group called 3 Inches of Blood. And Typo Negative and Hatebreed have a sound mixer, and it's the same guy. He's so good, he mixes 2 bands, right? That's how fantastic he is. And he comes in the venue, and he's just, right from the get-go, got a lot of attitude. And the very first thing he says to me is, I've been blowing up a lot of sound systems on this tour. I don't know if this is going to take it. I said, well, I certainly hope we could survive the onslaught of a Hatebreed show. I hope we could make it through it, right? And then we get through the first sound check, which was Hatebreed, and he's running the PA, and it's shaking the table, and he comes over to me and goes, I'm running it. It's going to be that loud. The whole show, I'm running it that loud, and you better be okay with that, because this is how loud I'm running it. I go, oh, well, all right. Hope we survive, And then he does the Typo Negative sound check, and same thing, he's just prancing and primping and keeps on telling me that how loud it's going to be and hope we survive it all. And all right, okay, whatever you want to do, man. So he gets done with his 2 sound checks, and he's over on the side dicking with his paperwork. And just like Munch did to me 20 plus years ago, I walked up to the console, I looked at the EQ he had going, and I popped out the bypass switch, and I said, kick.
So it's time to check this 3 Inches of Blood. And Pete says down the talkback line, kick drum. So we start kick drum, douche, douche, douche. Goes on for 2 minutes, next snare. So we're moving through the sound check. We get to the hi-hat, and the sound check comes to an abrupt halt. And the front of house guy from Typo Negative is yelling at Pete over the level that's coming out of the PA that he's getting ready to mix this opening band at.
So I tell this guy, you spent all day telling me how awesome you were and how loud you're going to run it. Well, don't tell me how to run this show. And, you didn't ask one question about this audio system when you came in here. You just assumed by looking around. You don't know I have 32 18-inch speakers under the stage. I don't know what to tell you.
Speed tells this guy that he's had all day to do whatever he needed to do, these guys to do what they needed to do with the PA, and, it just made the guy really uptight that when, this guy from Drum Tech from 3 Inches of Blood was hitting the kick drum, it was energizing every molecule in the room. I mean, it was making any speck of dust or sand or anything on the floor jump an inch off the floor with every hit. And these guys thought they knew what they were doing, but you never can, misinterpret or misjudge who's going to mix the opening bands. It could be a real professional.
Now, there's certainly a lot of things in life that I don't know how to do. But if there's one thing I know how to do, it's certainly mix a loud heavy metal band. And, I told the guy, hey, buddy, if it makes you feel any better, I know how you feel.